again, my name is Brother Sean, and I'd like to share with you something from the Monk's Kitchen. It's an ebook we put together to help us raise funds for the Teo community, because our constitution prohibits us from applying directly for funding, and that's okay. So we've used some of our gifts, and here we make about 32 varieties of chutney, both very hot, mild, sweet and tangy, for our visitors, our friends, and for those who call in on spec. So I'd like to share with your heart a range of really beautiful, tried and tested, homemade recipes from our Monk's Kitchen. They are really, really bestsellers. And in this book, we share with you not only the recipe, but we talk you through the recipe. And we also give you practical tips on how to choose the right vinegars, the right ingredients, and the whole process from start to finish. Now, the ebook talks you through not only that, but it gives you a flavour. It shares with you something that's made with love. Now, our chutneys aren't commercially produced. We make them in batches of 20, 25. And locally, yes, we do sell them in the village shop here in the community, and some of those proceeds go towards good causes apart from our own. But what has been so remarkable is the feedback from all of the chutneys, because we make them with a very special ingredient, and that ingredient isn't labelled. The ingredient is called love, because the effort is love. The gift is love. The blessing that we put into each jar of chutney is impregnated with love. So we're asking you to consider this wonderful ebook, because you can download it. It's not very expensive, and it's on the website, on the Monastery website, on the shop page, and it gives you an introduction to recipes from the heart, for the heart. I recommend it, and I suppose I'm doing that really from a selfish reason, because the recipes that I've collected. But interestingly, I was never a good chutney maker until about 3 years ago, when a client came to stay with us, and she said, "Oh, I noticed that your neighbour is giving you a load of rhubarb." I said, "Yes, I was going to blanch it, put it in the freezer, and probably make some crumble." She said, "Well, let me tell you, I've got a wonderful recipe, and it goes back, many generations in my family, from my mother to my grandmother to her great-grandmother, out in the Outer Hebrides of Scotland." I said, "Get away." She said, "Yes, it's a powerful, powerful chutney, and there's nothing to it really." I said, "Well, what do you do?" She said, "Well, you stew the rhubarb using good quality sugar in a chutney pan, and then you add to it various spices. But the onions, the Spanish onions that you use, you don't cook them, which you would in normal chutney. You chop them very, very finely, and you add them at the very end, having added the spices." And I thought, oh, it sounds revolting. But however, as this was my first attempt 3 years ago, I decided to do my own market research. So some neighbours kindly gave us some other jam jars. We sterilised them, and we had this whole load of rhubarb chutney, and it was spicy rhubarb chutney. And I gave some friends little tasters to have with either cold meats or cheeses, or just basically on their sandwiches. Well, I was amazed. I was absolutely amazed. I needed that positive feedback, so it got me going. So I then decided, instead of cutting up the onions raw, I would start adding fruit, and trial and error. And then I would add ginger, I would add mead, I would add ale, very strong Newcastle brown ale, blows your head off. And then I would vary the flavour and texture, vary the fruits, and then I devised a hot bolty chutney, and it's so hot that the chilies are the hottest you can get, the Mexican chilies. Well, that is a bestseller. But then for those who don't like hot and spicy, I do a lovely one called Woodlands Fruits, and that is a combination of grapes, pineapple, all the usual sultanas, raisins, cherries, ginger, plums, damsons. Oh, there's about 12 different fruits in the chutney, but it's very beautiful. I add honey and of course red wine vinegar, because you need the vinegar to preserve, but you have to be careful. But in the ebook I talk you through the various vinegars. Some are quite citric, very acidy, so you've got to get the balance right. But again, we give you the recipe and we leave it to your palate. But I will say this before I go, I've made good friends with Sister Marie down in the Poor Clares in Arundel, and I've been sharing with Sister Mary some of our recipes, and they've been sharing with us some of theirs, and one of them is banana. Now, banana chutney, but you know, people like it. Also the pear. There's the rhubarb, yes, but there's apple and pear, apple and ginger. There's orange, there's caramelized onion, a beautiful one. There's also, interestingly, you might feel revolted with this, but beetroot and blueberry. And of course, here in the country lanes in the summer months, we go out with the dogs for our hours constitutional out each day. Take a few buckets with me, and we collect loads of blackberry. So I do blackberry apple with ginger. I may do cucumber. There's aubergines, that's another good one. There's the courgettes. There's a whole range. There's about 32, but in the book, in the ebook, I think there's about 38 recipes. They've all been made by me. They are all beautiful. And if you, before you do anything, just offer your hands to God. Go into your heart and call on Mother Earth, who gave us these beautiful fruits. And we ask a blessing on the ingredients. And we ask a blessing on everyone who opens that lid, that they're infused with divine love. So I leave it to you. So it's the chutney range from the Monk's Kitchen. You can buy the book, the ebook, online. If you have any difficulty, contact me. So, good chutney making. And if you do have nice recipes, share them. And thank you. Bless your heart.